Okay, so my name is Peadar O'Sullivan. I'm a future workplace consultant with SoftwareONE. I specialize in the workplace for everyone in your organization. And what does that mean? Today, I'm going to demonstrate again under the 6 pillars that we've discussed earlier. And it's about what the technology looks like in the real world. Alison asked in the quick Q&A, is all of this dependent on Office 365 and having Office 365 or Microsoft 365 as it's now known? That's a really good question. So the answer is that what I'm going to present to you today is dependent on a latest version of Windows 10 or a recent version of Windows 10 and the Microsoft Office 365 applications installed on your desktop, or Microsoft 365 apps as they're known now. So they can be installed on your desktop and you can have them on Windows 10 without having any data residing anywhere in the cloud. So there isn't any reason for you to start shifting everything up to the cloud before you can take advantage of these features. So the first one I want to look at is vision, working with assistive technology. So Microsoft 365 apps work seamlessly with screen readers and keyboards on most devices. We've seen that demonstrated already. So Hector mentioned the color filters there. I want to show you what that looks like in real life. Okay, so if we go to the ease of access features on a Windows 10 computer, we click on color filters over here, and then we can turn it on with a click of a button. So the first one we see when we turn it on is an example of this slide that I've created a really inaccessible slide to show you what the impact is. There's lots of colors in there, and I know some people love to make pretty slides with lots of colors, but if we turn on those color filters, what does the impact have? So this first one here is a inverse, so it's reversing all of the colors. Some people might find this easier to read. And then the next one, when we click on that, it's grayscale. So you can see here the yellow text is quite difficult to read in this one. And then the next one is inverse grayscale. Again, the yellow text is not very easy to read for most people. So those are the ones that are supposed to help us to be able to see it a little bit better. But again, we're thinking about what does it mean when we're creating our slide. Joe demonstrated the accessibility review. This one is for color blindness. So this is the red-green one with weak green. And then the next one is weak red. I think I might have mixed them up there because I don't have my notes in front of me. And then finally, we have this one. So if we look at these, there's slight adjustments here, and they might not have made much difference to you, but for somebody here, this has really changed how this slide looks to them. Again, with the accessibility checker, we would have found out that there would have been a problem with this. But for some person, being able to find these settings in Windows 10, it's going in and it's changing how the slide appears. So I've not edited the document here. It's just representing the document differently to me by changing those color filters. And again, one click and I turn it all back off again. When it comes to hearing, we've seen subtitles. They're enabled for this display. We can see how easy it is to turn them on. My little quick GIF here shows you that. But if we look at some of the other features here, I'll go through one of these, which is what Microsoft have introduced in the Microsoft Stream. Hector referenced Stream earlier. It's essentially the video platform within Office 365. If you have Microsoft 365 subscription, you'll have access to this. If you record Teams meetings, this is where the recordings are saved. Well, what Microsoft have introduced here is a new feature that allows you to use screen recorder to capture legacy video that you might have that's already published. You take that video into Stream, and then it can generate a transcript from that video. So a little quick demonstration of what that looks like. Within Stream, I go to the Create menu. From there, I can click Record Screen. It opens up the little recorder for me. I click the Start Recording button. It allows me to pick the screen I want, and then it goes straight into the recording. So from there, once I've done that, I can click Next when I've recorded as much as I like, up to 15 minutes per video. And then after I click Next, I can quickly upload it to Stream. I can give it a name and then publish it. And as quickly as that, it goes to Microsoft Stream. I can go to the video. And now here the video is on the Stream website for me. But what you'll see in it when it loads is that there is an interactivity pane over here, but we don't have any transcript pane. So what we need to do is to modify the properties of the video So if we click on that, we can edit them. I think it's not moving forward for me. I'm not sure if you're seeing it moving forward. Oops. Oh, here we go. So I can update the video details. And I can add a video language. You can see here the screen tip is telling me that choosing a language allows a caption file to be generated automatically and makes the video easier to find. So I select the language here from the drop down. I select English as the language. And once that's applied, you'll see over here, captions, auto-generate caption file is automatically selected for me. And now when I apply the settings, it gets published and the transcript pane appears over here. So once the transcript pane appears, it's empty because it says it hasn't generated quite yet. So I can refresh the screen after a few minutes and now my transcript appears. So what the transcript does is it allows me to obviously create closed captions, but also allows me to search as well within the video to find a particular place where somebody mentioned something or a particular topic was spoken about. That's a really powerful feature that's just been launched in Microsoft Stream. And like I say, it allows you to capture legacy content that you may already have published that you want to make more accessible. From a neurodiversity perspective, one of the most powerful features available in Windows is Windows Hello Sign-In. So that can make your Windows PC as accessible as your smartphone is, because we're all familiar with using the fingerprint reader to sign into our phone or to using facial recognition. So why couldn't we have that in our Windows 10 machine? We actually can have it with Windows Hello, and what it does is it allows us to, oops, I clicked forward too quickly. It allows us to sign in a way that's very familiar to us, and it's also very secure. But if you're somebody, let's say, who's dyslexic and your company insists on having really complex passwords, those passwords can be difficult to enter if you're dyslexic, and then you can lock out your account. So with this, it'll allow you to sign in a very secure way, and probably 3 times faster than it would be if you were typing in a complex password. Also, we have the ability to have Word documents or Microsoft application, 365 application documents on our mobile phones as well, where we can have them read out to us. So instead of having to read them, we use the read aloud function, but on our mobile phone. So I can do that from here. I can click on the edit button. From the home menu here, the down arrows, I click on that and it presents a little menu where I click review. And then I get the read aloud option down here. And when I click on that, like you've seen with Joe presenting, you can set the speed that you want to have it spoken to you, and it turns the document into an accessible document. So a lot of us now are in lockdown, we're getting our exercise wherever we can. We've got our headphones in, we're out for a walk or a run. We can have our mobile phones with us playing a document so that we can listen to it while we're out getting our exercise, consuming content in that way. So it's turning your document into a podcast. And you can turn it off simply by clicking on the X, turning the document back to as it was. Mobility, here's another one as well. So, really important, again, a feature that was created for accessibility, but it's a benefit to all of us. And here's a really good example of how it's a benefit for us. Dictate in Microsoft Word, where we can turn our voice into text. And I'll show you my demonstration here of this. What I love to do is to walk around the room with my headphones on and to spill all of my thoughts into a document, just capturing the ideas that I have, the little brainstorms I have, and just capture them as I'm walking around the room on my headphones, and then going back afterwards and making sense to them. So from Microsoft Word, from the dictate menu, or from the normal home menu on Microsoft Word for dictate button, I click the drop down arrow here to select the language. So English United Kingdom is probably the closest one to my language. There are a number of principal languages that are here by default, and there are some languages here that are in preview. So you can see that there are more and more languages continuing to develop as it goes along. I select English United Kingdom, and then I can click on the dictate button. I select where I want to begin typing, and then my microphone picks up what I'm saying, and off it goes. Here's a really good example of what it looks like in real life. So I'm speaking, I'm starting to tell it what it is. And I've given it some instructions as well. And I want my literal instruction is to place a full stop at the end of the line and to move to another line. What it has done here is it's miscommunicated what I said. So it thought I said effectively instead of effectively, and it literally put in my instructions into it. But I've continued to talk, and the artificial intelligence knows what I'm trying to do. It figures it out. And it goes on to the next line. I continue to talk here. It makes sense of it all, and now it's gone back and it's changed affectively to effectively, placed the full stop at the end of the line, returned to a new line, and it's completed what I've said. But I think that's pretty impressive. But this is a benefit that we've got from accessibility features being made normal, being made available to everyone, and it's right there in Microsoft Word's latest version. So when I click on that and I use this, I can have my thoughts all dumped out into a document without having to sit bent over a keyboard for 12 hours, which is happening a lot in the lockdown. And mental health, I've just mentioned being over a keyboard for 12 hours in the lockdown. So we're all probably in a situation where we're doing more. We feel we're doing more when we're working from home. And in recent surveys suggested that most people reporting doing up to 30 hours extra a month, which is essentially an extra week every month now that they're working from home. And a lot of that is about finding the balance between work and life. It's very difficult to separate work and life when your home and your workplace are not separated. And what we're looking at here, Microsoft My Analytics was mentioned by Hector earlier. He told you about the power of it and what it can do for you. What we can do as well is to take little steps to help ourselves. So what over here, what we see in the bottom right corner, if we click on the notifications tab, we can click on that. And then from there, we can go into you might have to click expand here. We can go from here into expand, and we see the Focus Assist over here. So by clicking Focus Assist once, it'll set priority only on a notification. So priority only is that we only get notified from the people in our contact list that we have set as priority. So we can go in and change it at any time. We can set, in my example, Andy Dunbar and Una Keeshan are my priority. So I get notifications from them even when I've got this switched on. And then the next one, if you click it once more, it only notifies us when we've got alarms. So if you've set a reminder on something, it would notify you on that. Click it one more time and it turns it straight back off again. And that's how easy it is to turn it on and off Focus Assist. If you want to, like I mentioned, setting Una and Andy, there's my priority notifications. You can just right click on this button and then go to settings. That will allow you to set who you want to have from your contacts. And they can be people outside of your own organization as well, not necessarily people in your own team. And then again, on a mobile phone, our mobile phones follow us around, right? So it's easy to close the lid on your laptop and not see the notifications there. But with your mobile phone, it's more than likely it's in your pocket, they're following you around. Notifications can follow you around too. A lot of organizations have implemented Microsoft Teams now in the lockdown to remain connected, and it's almost expected you'll have Teams on your phone. So if you've got Teams on your phone, notifications are enabled, you might find that it's going off at all different times. And if you work in a global organization like SoftwareONE, you're working with people around the world in different time zones, they may not be sensitive to the time zone you're in, and then you might find that you're being woken up during the night. But if we open up Microsoft Teams, and from the little menu icon on the top, Microsoft called this the hamburger icon. If you've ever seen that reference, this is what they mean, the layers of the hamburger. If you click on the hamburger icon, we can see here the settings button. We click on that. And here at the top, you'll notice quiet hours. If you click on quiet hours, you can set the hours of the day that you do not want any notifications from. So in my example here, between 8 p.m. and 7 a.m., my phone will not notify me of anything from Microsoft Teams. As well as that, I go on to quiet days. So you can set any day of the week. For me, my typical quiet days would be Saturday and Sunday. You can set any days of the week, but on Saturdays and Sundays, I get no notifications at all at any point of the day. So that's a really cool feature. But I can also drill down here as well and go to chats or mentions, or, you might find if you're new to Teams, you begin to be added to more teams, more channels are being spun up. And if you're following channels, you might be getting a lot of posts in there. You might not want to be notified every time there's a post on those. So you can drill into those, click on the individual ones, turn them off and on. And that's how you're managing these notifications as well, managing your mental health, that you're not being overwhelmed. It can create anxiety if there are too many reminders, too many asks, too many things, that feeling of I haven't done enough, I'm not involved enough, or I'm not visible enough. Take control of that through your notifications. When we deliver these demonstrations in person, I'll often see the room with heads down, people straight away go to their phone, they immediately go and turn this on. Puts a smile on face because I know that I'm making a little difference to somebody who didn't know it was there. But these are things you can do to manage your own mental health. The key takeaways, the things that I want you to take away from today. I've been working with technology for 22 years. I'm delivering Microsoft technology projects for 22 years. And I've never had anybody thank me for making a difference in their life until I started to get involved in inclusivity and accessibility tech. The reason why? Because all of the other things were expected. People just assume, yeah, I want technology, you're going to deliver it. But I didn't realize that I could make a difference until I realized that people needed me to do something that made a difference for them. So with that in mind, create with everybody in mind. So assume your audience has accessibility requirements. That was a thing I missed out on. I didn't realize that there are people in my audience that have accessibility requirements, because why would they tell me? They have no obligation to do so, and their privacy has to be respected. So create with everyone in mind. Build good habits. It's much easier to make documents accessible as you create them rather than going back afterwards and having to fix a whole bunch of documents. I've shown you a feature of how to go back with a legacy video, but if you're starting from scratch now, create with accessibility in mind. There's a lot of the technologies available to us, but reality is technology is only going to do so much. Most organizations will have some change in culture. Every organization will have to change habits, and everybody that starts now to build good habits will be on that journey of changing those habits. Inclusive design. Make accessibility central to design, not obscure, optional, or an afterthought. So when you're designing anything, we've reiterated this many times throughout. If it's a web page, if it's creating a video, if it's a post on Twitter, every time you create a post on Twitter, if you include an image, making sure you're using alternative text, making sure that content is accessible. And that should be your design. How are we going to communicate? What does a communication plan look like? And when you're designing that communication plan, include accessibility in it from the very start. Accessibility in stages. So start right now with one change. That one change might be you're setting the notifications on your Microsoft Teams app, but do not let pursuit of perfection prevent you from making that start. You might look at this and think, oh, we have to do everything perfect. We must make sure it's right. It's better to start and do something than to procrastinate and to sit around and design workshops for months and months without making any change. So start right now with one thing. And make accessibility the norm. I think we're privileged that people with disabilities have forced these changes to give us tools that have enabled us in a better way. We've got, for me, I see benefits here, the things that I don't necessarily have a disability for, but I've now got a benefit because I have something that's made my life easier. So I'm celebrating disability by thanking people for influencing these change. Our accessibility initiative in SoftwareONE is beginning. We're on a journey. We're not there, but we've begun that journey. So I'd like you now to welcome our good friend, Jerry Ellis. I'm going to hand over to Jerry, and thank you very much for everyone for listening.